세계에 되찾을 질서를.
7K Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at Mythical Awakened Reginleif in Arena, and I got her to level 50 last night on stream, and I thank everyone who dropped by and also supported me during that very tough journey to level 50. So this is currently my team. I'm currently using Reginleif, Phi, Rosie, Sage and Freya. So it's more magic oriented with Rosie as the support. Phi is here because there is a huge bug in Arena right now that doesn't really let lethal proc. So I took out Fenrir just to test things and use Phi instead. And apparently Phi is still very strong. I mean, Phi isn't nerfed at all, okay, isn't checked at all, and Phi is still very strong, so her immortal stage can really help. The overall idea of the team is really surrounding magic units. Rosie is the main support here. She provides magic attack increase, she reduces damage from 5 target attacks, okay, and also has weapon destruction like in this case. Reginleif reduces physical damage taken and fixed damage taken from the enemies for magic type allies. So this excludes Phi and Rosie from my team. Sage reduces lethal rate, crit rate, and also magic physical attack, yeah, and defense per turn with his exclusive item. So he also provides a huge nerf to physical offensive heroes. When for Freya, she provides paralyzed immunity, so this helps against enemies Fenrir. So basically the whole team checks universal and offensive teams heavily, and you will see that my units are actually pretty tanky, and I made it to Grand, and it's pretty, I would say it's a pretty high level of Grand. I haven't reached the 5,000s of course, but you know, this is pretty decent in order to get a very stable amount of soul shards per week. So the strength in Reginleif lies in her passive, which I will talk about. For her skills, you guys can check it out, so I will leave the skills out of the video. I'll just talk about her passive. For her passive, she decreases physical and fixed damage taken, yes, like I mentioned. She also decreases electrify resist rate for all enemies by 20%, and she herself has 80% chance to electrify with one of her skills, her top skill. She also has an effect, which is the Secret of Harmony effect, that causes that every third attack, okay, causes additional damage equal to 300% of her magic attack, and she also deals damage to enemies, more damage to enemies with higher defense. If you unlock her exclusive item at level 40, she decreases block rate of all enemies by 10% each turn, up to a maximum of 100%. So this is insane, okay, this is very insane. At level 40 alone, she can do so much. So this really checks a lot of teams, in fact tank units as well, and any unit who uses block armor basically, because their block will constantly get reduced, and this is on top of her effect attack. You will realize that I made her the speed leader, okay, and this is shout out to Joseph last night, who told me about it over stream and said that I should give Reginleif a speed build, and I decided to go with that. For her effect attack, she actually provides block nullification, which is super useful, and you will see this as we proceed into the next match. Okay, she is my attack leader with double celestial speed weapons. So you see that effect attack procs, and she will immediately nullify block on the enemy without fail. Okay, you can also go with a crit and lethal build for her to maximize her damage output, but currently I think using speed is super good. I just feel that she's so suitable with the speed attack, because the block nullification helps so much. It really prevents, so it really lets you do more damage, and her electrify skill is also very useful, because I think currently most people don't have electrify resist. Previously the only way we saw electrify was through basic attacks from the counter heroes. However, now Reginleif has electrify, so this adds on the next, you know, status to the arena meta. Previously we had blind, stun, paralyze, and stun and paralyze are both checked with Truth and Freya already. No one really resists poison, which is sad. Okay, so poison can go through pretty easily still on the enemies, and basically there's still just too many CC going on, and it's hard to completely be resistant against all, so you have to pick the most important ones, and I think Electrify and Blind are pretty important right now because most people are using Freya. Not too sure if people are using Reginleif yet because I see the top tier enemies, they have not been using Reginleif, so we'll see how it evolves over time over the next week because maybe it's still too early and I don't know how their rates are faring, but of course I'm sure they all have a level 51 waiting. Yeah. For her armor, I've given her counter. She's my main counter, so that she can actually trigger that third attack effect more often, and it really deals a lot of damage, which we will observe in a while in the next match. Unfortunately, in the first two matches of the video, you see that even though she does do her thing, she doesn't live too long, and that's because she's on counter armor. So I haven't really tried her with HP armor to have a full idea of her bulk. Compared to Freya, who is definitely more bulky than most magic heroes. I'm not too sure about Truth, comparing to Truth as well, because Truth is just super frail. But Reginleif, with the counter armor, I think she's still okay because she does have a healing skill and her heals are insane. Okay, as even though your enemy may have Sage or Chris who nerfs healing by a huge percentage, her heals are still pretty much a very big amount basically. And I think with that alone, she can preserve herself pretty well, and she also needs the skill use chance jewel basically. So you see here that she counters pretty well, and that's also because for her accessory I've given her the Guardian Ring and Celestial Rage. So the Celestial Rage is the ring that gives her guaranteed counter for 7 turns. In that case, she will constantly be able to land her third attack because after her first 2 speed attacks, the next counter is definitely gonna proc the third attack. And she will use her skills as well, increase skill use chance, because that's one of the jewels I gave her as well. So my goal for her is really for her to move a lot, and she really does move a lot, especially if you guys watched the live stream last night. Okay, this video, may not showcase everything, but it will show you a pretty good gauge of her performance. Unfortunately, again, Fi is the one that remains alive at the end, and I think the reason why for this is because after all, they are magic heroes, and their bulk is not the best, I would say. So imagine if I had Fenrir over Fi here, I think my team would be pretty frail. So many glass cannons, right? So I think Fi helps me at least in the later part of the match, so that's not too bad. So the rest of her jewels, of course, I've given her speed attack and also reflect immunity because Reginleif does has very good damage output. As you saw here, the third attack proc, it hits a lot. Okay, I don't know if there's gonna be a reflect for that, because if there is, she's gonna take even more damage. So reflect immunity is very, very important for her. And increase skill use chance, because if you realize for her awakened skill, if you unlock her exclusive item, she's able to decrease all damage taken by all allies by 50% for 4 turns after using her awakened skill. Okay, but she has to use a skill in order for that defect to come out during that 4 turns, which is very, very conditional. So you want to make sure somehow she is able to use her skill after her awakened skill, which is very conditional, I know. And in this case, by the time she uses her awakened skill, maybe you have already reached the end of the match. Like in this case, I'm just facing Fire alone. So other jewels can include, of course, magic attack increase, to buff her healing even more and to also buff her damage output. You can also give her crit and lethal Dark Knight jewels if you have, or just World Boss jewels, because if you're using the crit and lethal build, that's something you want to go for. But as I said, I think lethal is really bugged right now, and Arena overall has a very weird situation going on where sometimes turns are skipped and you don't use skills on certain turns. So I'm not too sure what's happening. So this, I want to say, like, this may not be the most accurate depiction of her damage output. It can be higher, it will be higher in fact. But fair enough, both sides, both teams don't have the lethal mechanic going on, so I guess that evens things out. And we still get a pretty okay idea, you know, a pretty fair idea of what's going on. You may think of giving her the Berserker ring to really maximize her damage output, but I think that she is a bit too frail for that, especially if you are using the speed and counter build. Okay, she will die very quickly. The reason why she's pretty much surviving for okay time in my team is because of the Guardian ring, which protects her from the attacks from for the first 3 turns. And of course, you know, there's support heroes like Rosie who really nerfs down the enemy's damage output, and Reginleif herself also does that. So that is why, coupled with Rosie, I think their synergy is super good. They allow the whole team magic units to take very little damage, and not only that, she and Rosie can heal. Freya and Rosie can cleanse, and then you have all of them being able to also land debuffs on the enemy. And Reginleif here also reduces enemy awakening gauge, so this helps to control the enemy's damage output as well, and heals your team. So basically everything is very tight in terms of the synergy between the units. For traits wise, I have given Reginleif Blind, Electrify, and Stun Resist because I'm not using Truth, so that's something I want to protect against. Paralyze is not an issue for me because I have Freya. Okay. Maybe, you know, some players might think that she is too frail, so they don't want to use her. I mean, that's always a thing because, as you can see, she doesn't really live too far into the match, okay, after her Guardian ring is down. But maybe because my accessory is not good enough, my duo is not good enough, I'm not sure, maybe that's the case. But what I feel from her is that she is really a unit that can support the team very early on in the game. Okay, and Freya coupled with the other magic units, I think they are a very strong team. I think the magic units are all very synergized. You know what I mean? And yeah, unfortunately we come to a 5 versus 5 again. So I'm pretty pleased with Reginleif, her performance in my team, or rather this whole team overall. I mean, climbing from where I was last night to all the way to what the rank you see here in this video, I think is quite good. And I think the setup for her I have is pretty alright. Okay, the counter idea, also thanks to Joseph. So let me know what you guys think of her if you have tried her in Arena, because obviously we know that on paper her skill set looks very strong, but after testing, what do you think? So do give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!